Taking your seats, we'd like to start right on time at 7. So if you don't have your seat yet, if you could find your seat. They are generally alphabetical, and we can help you if you need. Thank you very much.
So what am I doing? Am I graduating or something?
Yeah, maybe.
Go back to this later on.
Should I get my posture straight? Hey man.
Couldn't tell you. You just have to tell me.
experiences mean to me? Well, they mean a lot.
Coming here is in class, they'll kind of teach you almost like it's okay to question your faith. And I feel like by doing that, like I've questioned my faith multiple times and have like dove deeper into things about it. And by doing that, I feel like this like helped me to grow closer with God in the end.
Just being able to like lock in, connect with what I believe in like a way that's far beyond anything that I've done before in the past.
So I feel like Mr. Williams impacted my faith the most. Not only was I able to question my own faith within this class, I was able to compare it to the faith of other students and kind of understand their perspective of their own faith.
I know in grade school, it was pretty much like sometimes reading out of a textbook and memorizing, but when we got to ends, it was more based off personal experience and kind of things that we can relate to everyday life.
Being able to see the whole St. Edward's community come together in one place during Mass, and then at the end sing the alma mater, it really kind of grew my interest in faith as a whole.
In grade school, the faith activities were a lot like do this or else, and this one is like a lot more of, well, where do you feel you're at, and what are you looking for? How can you find it?
I'd say my faith kind of was born here a little bit.
It's a place where I can encounter what is beyond and also strengthen what is within, I would say.
It's not just about like learning about a religion or learning about what you do. It's really just about how you live it, and that's something you kind of see everywhere. Like whether it's just in the cafeteria or after school, hanging out with friends. I think faith is kind of just the backbone of what makes St. Ed's St. Ed's.
The sense of community here at St. Ed's is really what brings the faith and makes it so strong here.
Think of St. Ed's. Think of all the ways like the students here were excellent.
Perseverance, dignity, will.
In my own words, excellence. I believe excellence is waking up every day and just doing the best you can. You know, every day it can be a struggle sometimes to wake up in the morning just to get out of bed. But I just think excellence is, you know, carrying your cross.
You can diversify how you strive for excellence, whether it be on the football field or whether it be on the stage, or whether even if it is in the classroom, that's still a way to strive for excellence.
To me, I can see it most probably inside the classroom, because each of the students here does a lot more than just inside the classroom. Whether it's sports or extracurriculars or through their faith or things like that, that all kind of culminates in the classroom with what everybody shares with each other.
For my junior and senior year, I've been part of the Heideloff program, which is a really challenging experience for me personally, because I had to work on my work ethic and improve the work that I was doing. But it also really challenged me to kind of change myself as a learner.
I see excellence in the classroom, all my classes, you know, all my classmates are still working, even senior year, even as late as we are in the year. It's just a driven group of guys.
Because when you're in grade school and you learn about your numbers, you can't really appreciate it, it's just work. But like now, I can appreciate the joy, the excitement of learning something entirely new.
Brotherhood for me, first of all, is what the St. Ed's community is.
I know they call this brotherhood, and there's a lot of opportunities where you can make friends.
When you come here, a type of you can't explain it. It just explains itself. You have to be in our environment to understand what our brotherhood is like. So I don't think there's too many ways to describe the brotherhood that we have here.
Like a lot of these friendships, I hope that they'll go beyond, because I mean, we're at it for life, so.
So I actually feel accepted, and that's by like getting the chance to be on the bowling team, you know, getting a chance to meet new friends. into the St. Alex program my junior year. I made a lot of good friends here.
I guess I always felt home at St. Ed's. Like, I never felt judged for who I chose to be or the person that I've wanted to be.
Being accepted in the football and basketball programs for the first 4 years, and then meeting my best friend Mikey, and then getting close to him. His family brought me as a second family.
To me, it means that no matter what you're doing, if you're down, if you're struggling, you got a group of guys behind you.
I don't have any siblings, and on top of like my friends out of school, I'd say my closest relationships, my most brotherly relationships, were formed here at St. Ed's with my fellow classmen.
I feel like I could walk up to any senior in any person in the senior class and I could have a conversation with them about pretty much literally anything.
I do believe that the friends I've made here will last me my whole life.
I just realized that there are so many really cool people with so many really cool stories.
We're in this wonderful gym with all these banners here, and every single one of these banners, Esmond did it together.
Because every teacher will do everything for you to succeed in. And that's
every single teacher I've had, I can name at least one thing in one way they've adjusted how I think, adjusted who I am as a person.
I'd say Mr. Wallenhurst. When I first came in freshman year, I feel like I was kind of interested in going to school for a few hours a day than being done. But he always encouraged us to be part of everything that we had to offer here at St. Ed's.
I'll say my favorite teacher would probably be Miss King, because I always go on to do things I thought that I didn't know.
The Duffy, he comes back every time. His exuberance, his passion just to teach and be with the students is so high that it's impossible not for it to be contagious.
So Mr. Urban, he's a very personal and personable teacher. The little things I've learned from Mr. Urban have had the greatest impact.
I'd say Latin too with Mr. Cavity. Hardest class at this school, and he's a good teacher. He really made me care about what I was doing.
I feel like one teacher that I will definitely remember when I live here is Mr. Cavity. This man who really takes pride in what he does and takes pride in teaching the students. And that's just like a person that I really want to be when I grow up.
They all care so much, and they're all willing to help you at any point in time.
There are teachers that, just at their core, not only want to teach you the subject, but want to have an impact on you personally.
To be a good leader, I think it's important that you have the two pieces that make up that word, so servant leadership, combined, where you're doing a service to others and leading them in that way.
Part of what I wanted to do, because I've had values of servant leadership kind of instilled in me, is just give other people the opportunity to see aspects of servant leadership and just kind of bring that fire to my community.
That's what I would tell my freshman self, that you're gonna fail, but that's how you grow. So you just gotta keep trying, you gotta keep getting involved, put yourself out there, and it'll benefit you in the long run.
We are probably the COVID class. I think that that's a fair thing to say. And I think that our ability to kind of gather together and pull through, finish strong, regardless of the complications.
To be a beacon of hope, to lead, and to call others to do the same as well.
Everyone here is a servant leader for each other, and that transfers, and that's what's unique about St. Ed's.
There was a nuclear fallout. Where would you hide in the building?
I would be in Miss Schill's room for sure, because I didn't take the Pfizer and Moderna, I took the Schill vaccine, and I've had no consequences, COVID vaccine, so I can't have COVID. There's no side effects, maybe 10% stronger. If I went to the Schultz room and I said, all right, you got about 2 hours before this nuclear fallout happens, she'd whip something up and you'd be totally fine.
And I think the answer to which teacher is an undercover CIA agent is probably Mr. Merriman. He has lots of different language skills. He knows a lot about the world. And, I feel that with those, skills, that he could really succeed in the CIA. So, I think there's a good chance that maybe, in fact, he's not really a religion teacher, he's in fact a CIA agent, that could be.
Mr. Merriman, he knows karate, I think. I definitely see Mr. Merriman as like Thanos.
Mr. Knight, 30, 40 years old, still dunking, step back threes. I've seen it in person. It's crazy. He's a freak. He's a freak. I'll be honest.
I think the obvious choice would be Mr. Libero Puccini. I mean, just in the name itself, But I've heard Mr. Williams is a pretty good cook. So maybe he's cooking up something good in the kitchen, too.
I think Mr. Barrett would be a good pie contest partner because he's good for emotional support and is capable of eating a fair amount of pie.
If you could live in one part of the school for the rest of your life, where would it be?
If I could live in one part of the school, I gotta go, I'm trying to think of some pretty cozy spots. That's a good question. Maybe a stairwell.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It is very wonderful to be with you all tonight. And frankly, I'm really glad that we are doing this just with the class of 2021 too. I think this has been your year, and you guys have been tremendous leaders this year, and have really brought so much to this community. And so it's great to have this celebration of your excellence this evening. And certainly nobody could put it into words the way that your own classmates put it into words through that video. And that's why we wanted to start with that and kind of encapsulate your 4 years and celebrate the 4 years that you've had with this tremendous celebration of excellence tonight. So we're so glad you're here, and we're looking forward to really just an exciting evening and a celebration of our entire mission. As we begin tonight, we certainly want to begin with prayer. And I will say, I don't think in the time, I've been at St. Ed's for 14 years, I don't think anyone has ever owned prayer the way that Emerson Gray has owned prayer in this community, including recording, while we were quarantined last year, a prayer every morning to send out to the entire student body. And so we thought it was only fitting that Emerson would give us our invocation this evening to begin. So Emerson.
We'll begin in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, you filled the heart of Blessed Basil Moreau, founder of the Congregation of Holy Cross, with zeal for the proclamation of your kingdom. We ask you to bless the St. Edward High School community with a desire for your truth and a passion to make you known, loved, and served. May we work together to educate the mind and heart of every member of our community. May your gracious Spirit enable this work of resurrection in us, so we may bring light and hope to those in darkness and proclaim your liberating love to all in need. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. And lastly, your joke for the awards night. I got a real deal on my satellite installment through my dish package. It was on the house. Have a good night, everyone.
So we're going to jump right into the awards with our special academic awards. So I'm going to invite the presenters of those awards up now. We have 6 teachers who will be presenting. And if you want to flip to page 4 in your program, we will start with Miss White and the Father Peyton CSC Catholic Identity Award.
So the Father Patrick Peyton CSC Identity Award recognizes a senior who, over the course of their 4 years, has gone above and beyond to promote, encourage, and grow the Catholic identity and mission of St. Edward High School, particularly in connection to prayer and faith. Father Patrick Peyton was a Holy Cross priest who really championed praying, especially the Rosary, but really praying together as families. And around the world. So he's on his way to canonization. So this year, this award goes to a senior who's been a leader at all of our all-school liturgies for all of his years here, served as a reader for countless extra prayer service that happened outside of a regular school day, and helped to grow and organize morning prayer. You've heard his voice every day to start your day for 3.5 years, and as Mr. McKenna mentioned, even when we weren't in the building. So this year, our Father Patrick Peyton Award is for Emerson Gray. Now, Mrs. O'Riordan has our next honorary award.
Thank you. The Jeff Morton College Counseling Book Award is presented to a senior who is intellectually curious, positive, and affirming, one who exemplified the 4 pillars of Holy Cross formation throughout the college search, application, and discernment process. This award goes to Eris Daschel.
The James Nieberding Award is presented to a student who has shown commitment to the study of American government and has demonstrated civic responsibility. James Nieberding was the history department for more than 35 years and founder of the St. Edward Council of World Affairs. He believed that each of us can make a difference in this world and taught his students to give back to the community in a way that they could. This award honors his legacy and continuing service to the St. Edward community. And this year's recipient of the James Nieberding Award is Emerson Gray.
The Brother William Kleinenberg CSC Senior English Award is presented to a senior for academic excellence in English. Brother William Kleinenberg, CSC, was a member of the faculty at St. Edward early in the school's history. As a chairman of the English department, he helped establish the tone of academic rigor that characterizes the English department to this day. This award is dedicated to his memory. The award is for Seth Warner this year.
The William Thompson Senior Mathematics Award is presented to a senior who has demonstrated a particular excellence in mathematical achievement and has displayed clear thinking, a logical approach to problem solving, and self-discipline. This award is given in memory of Mr. William Thompson, a beloved math teacher who died tragically on January 24th, 1984. The recipient of this year's William Thompson Senior Math Award is Timothy Welch.
A little over a year ago, we lost my dad, Mr. Jim Wallenhorst, who had dedicated his career at St. Ed's for 39 years. As a graduate from here in 1974, my dad was a loving student of Brother Bennett Nettleton and many other teachers, and used that experience as an inspiration in his own teaching. For example, the highest grade you could receive in my dad's world history class was not an A+, but it was an H. It did not count for any extra points, but it was his way of saying that that was some of the best work he had ever seen. When students asked what the H stood for, he would say historian. But if you got him talking about why he taught and his experience here, he would say it was from Brother Bennett. Brother would bestow an H on a paper and say in his thick Louisiana accent, "That is a humdinger." Somewhere in my parents' attic, there's a box of all my dad's high school stuff, proudly kept as a paper from his freshman year with an H at the top of it. We are pleased to bestow the Jim Wallenhorst Award for Excellence for the first time to Jack O'Brien.
One of the longest standing and most well-known traditions at St. Ed's is the Man of the Year Award. And the Man of the Year is voted by the seniors each year, nominated by the seniors each year, I should say, and then voted on by the faculty and staff. And it really is the person who most embodies our mission, someone who really embraces his faith, strives for excellence every day, has formed lifelong relationships over the course of his 4 years at St. Ed's, and really seeks to be a servant leader to all in the community. Tonight we have 5 Man of the Year nominees that will be introduced to you throughout the evening. They are Emerson Gray, Brian Heideloff, Jack O'Brien, Jake Audiger, and Richie Pokrifka. The Man of the Year is then essentially immortalized on the wall in the administration hallway. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, this is a true story. This happened last week. I was out with my 8-year-old, and we saw a recent Man of the Year winner, and I was talking with him, and he walked away, and my son Roger said, "Hey, didn't he win Man of the Year?" Because they stand outside my office and they look at that wall. So being on that wall is very important. And so we are excited over the course of this evening to introduce you to 5 exceptional young men who all belong on that wall, and one of whom will grace it from this night forward. So we are going to begin with Emerson Gray. So Emerson, if you'd like to bring your family up, and Miss Carrie White will introduce Emerson to all of us this evening.
Good evening. Tonight, I have the extreme pleasure of introducing our first Man of the Year candidate, Emerson Gray. Emerson is the son of Paul and Shelley Gray, brother to Lauren and Zanny, who are up here in the front row too. You guys can wave at everybody if you want. So the author of the first letter of Peter writes, "Finally, all of you have unity of mind, sympathy, brotherly love, a tender heart, and a humble mind." That's 1 Peter 3:8. Emerson used this verse to start his Man of the Year statement that was sent to the faculty, and I think it perfectly applies to him. We're going to break this down for a minute. Have unity of mind. As an IB student, Emerson has taken some of the most rigorous courses we offer. If you've taught Emerson, you know him to be incredibly curious about anything and everything. When he was young, it was bugs, dinosaurs, and birds, which is fitting that he made a cameo appearance as a bird watcher in Big Fish, our most recent theater production. Or he was reading the encyclopedia to learn the import and export stats of Ghana at 5 years old. Once something catches Emerson's interest, he commits 100%. In his 2nd grade Montessori class, he spent a week making paper airplanes, which seemed like a long time to focus on paper airplanes. But he wasn't just making paper airplanes. He was conducting experiments to test how far they'd go, getting measurements, trying to determine which design was the most effective flyer. Or in third grade, when Emerson was getting picked up from school, and out comes this principal chasing down where Emerson was in the car line, yelling that he had the numbers Emerson needed. What were those numbers? Emerson was trying to calculate the square footage of his school, and he needed some measurements of some of the classrooms so he could complete this assignment. In third grade, I don't like to do math now. When Emerson was a kid at camp, he would use whatever was handy, like dresser drawers filled with pond water or his own pockets to keep frogs, bugs, crawfish, and other small insects and animals so that he could study them. His mom learned pretty quick to check his pants pockets before washing them for bugs and critters. So I'm grateful Emerson never brought those on our retreats. Emerson's business teacher, Bob Schanowski, points out that he is curious, always asking questions to further his learning experience. And his history teacher and mock trial coach, Suzanne Fairfield, describes him as genuinely inquisitive and continually demonstrates his passion for learning, often stopping by after school or staying after class to continue a class discussion and share more insights. Finally, all of you have unity of mind, sympathy, brotherly love, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Sympathy. Emerson cares about people, whether they are strangers in need of a pallbearer, a community grieving the loss of a teacher, friend, or coach. Emerson is the first to do what's needed, whether that's standing vigil overnight for a donor and benefactor to our school, even though he had never met him, or helping people find their way during the wake for Coach Bodel. When our community lost Bryson a couple weeks ago, Emerson was there to support the family in the best ways that he could. He knew preparing a song for the wake was the most important thing he could do that day. That's what he told me. And rearranging his schedule to be able to serve during the funeral mass was how he knew he could support the family and our community. As theology teacher Owen Williams points out, Emerson's ability to enter into the experience of another is impressive. Finally, all of you have unity of mind, sympathy, brotherly love, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Brotherly love. Emerson embodies the brotherhood at St. Ed's. And this was most evident to me when we were preparing for this year's Night at the Nest. Emerson had to be sure that he and his friends would be able to leave in time because they were planning a surprise birthday party for one of our freshmen. He spent at least a week working on this party, bringing together Edsmen from all grade levels, ensuring that this freshman would know many students as he started his time as an Eagle. He made sure there was also birthday celebration ice cream for his advisory group during dinner at Night at the Nest. I appreciated that. He was in my advisory. Emerson demonstrates this commitment to the brotherhood in many ways. Amongst them was his seeking out the list of birthdays for all of our students so he could read each student's birthday on the day as part of our morning PA prayer. Finally, all of you have unity of mind, sympathy, brotherly love, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Tender heart. Emerson's friend Daniel says that Emerson is inspiring, someone he wants to be like, because he always includes people. His friend Richie describes Emerson as ambitious, courageous, diligent, a brother. His friends have also begun to use his name as a verb and an adjective. It's a verb. Do you want to Emerson this and get it all done, despite everything else you have to do? And the adjective, the perfect transcript is just so Emerson. His friend Dermot describes him as a man who just gets after it. When he needs to get something done, he just puts his head down and does it. He is motivated, self-determining, and caring. Academic Dean Matt Stibnowski describes Emerson as one who cares about everything. People, friends, doing his best, and every little detail that goes into seemingly everything he does. And this attention to detail has been very evident to me as I've watched him diligently prepare and write our morning PA prayers every day. He prepares a script, he finds somebody to fill in for him, and he would even, and as Mr. McKenna alluded to, recording our PA prayer every day during our time of remote learning and emailing it to me so that I could send it out. It was so important for Emerson to be able to provide this moment of normalcy for our community and for all of our students, faculty, and staff. And so many of them commented to me on how important it was to have that, to be able to hear that every day. He never missed a day for 2.5 months, and sometimes I did have to ask him to get it to me before midnight so that I would have time to send it out and get it ready. He's a busy guy, but we always got it. Humble mind. Not many people know that Emerson has a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. And less people know that when he was at an AAU national tournament, he broke his arm during one of his final matches. He had about 30 seconds left, and he really wanted to finish the match because he was close to winning. And so he took some advice from his coach, lasted the 30 seconds, won the match with his broken arm. Emerson never quits. He's the first to give of himself to others. Whether it's a summer immersion and service trip to Chile, spending a week in Omaha, reorganizing a Catholic Charities food pantry, moving hundreds of pounds of food, shelves, and equipment, Emerson steps up and inspires those around him to step up too. He does what needs to be done. He's easily recognized as a leader, naturally motivating people to complete whatever project is before them, whether it's an IB test, setting up before an all-school liturgy, leading a prayer service on a mission trip, or picking the joke of the day. Unity, sympathy, brotherly love, a tender heart, a humble mind. This is how the writer of 1 Peter encouraged the early Christians to live, and Emerson has shown us how to embody this every day. Emerson's friends and family summed it up by using words like cares, faith-filled, example to look up to, kind, and gets things done. Emerson has embraced these values in every aspect of his life and has given us examples of how we can do this as well. It was an honor to start my morning every day talking to Emerson about any manner of things as we waited for the 8 a.m. bell and the signal to morning prayer, and I know he is on his way to an incredible future. And it wouldn't be right to not end with a classic joke of the night, so bringing back one of the first jokes of the day. Did you hear the rumor about butter? Well, I'm not going to spread it. So it is my honor to introduce to you Emerson Gray, 2021 candidate for St. Edward Man of the Year. I almost forgot I'm supposed to tell you who's next. And then we'll bring up Coach Ansbury and Mr. Williams, who I think have honors, the honor students. Oh, man.
The following awards are presented to those students whose scholastic achievement places them on the honor roll for each of the first 3 quarters in the current academic year. We will start with honors. Dylan Bastian, Connor Bodie, Matthew Beppel, Ricardo Bonner, John Sharvat, Jack Conley, Andrew Cook, Ryan Dunn, John Flowers, Aiden Harry, Mark Houtling, John Izzo, Anthony Jackson, Richard Johnson, Peter Kratt, Jose Lays, Mason Lurch, Mason Maley, Brendan McElwee, Andrew Milla, Daniel Navo, Jason Pika, Colin Planofsky, Noah Rios, Ryan Rossfelder, Justin Slattery, Nathan Schneider, Kyle Velchek, Thomas West, and Evan Reitzman. Academic awards for honors.
following awards are presented to those students whose scholastic achievement places them on the high honor roll for each of the first 3 quarters in the current academic year. Johannes Aful, Alton Ball, Shane Barker, Brendan Bells, Andrew Bendahan, James Black, Broden Bostwick, Richard Bubb, Michael Butterfield, Blake Buzzio, Charles Calhoun, Matthew Campbell, Caden Casto, Anthony Chambers, Anthony Chilemi, Seamus Cochran, Evan Colburn, Cole Corcoran, Parker Croston, Eris Dashel, Alexander Day, Rodrigo Del Rincon, Richard Del Santer, Patrick Dolan, Nicholas Doman, Martin Dubecki, Samuel DeBusker, Lorenzo Espiritu, Mateo Flores, John Furch, Tyler Fowles, Dermot Fox, Patty Gallagher, James Gaychek, Mohammed Ghanem, Brian Ginley, Emerson Gray, Timothy Greer, Connor Ham, Kevin Ham, Caden Hankins, Aaron Harper, Brian Heideloff, Tucker Helfer, Ryan Hengelsberg, Jacob Hess, Hudson Hightower, Vincenzo James, Adrian Johnson, Michael Kane, Miles Kaufman, Wyatt Kaiser, Connor Keast, Ryan Kelly, Joshua Karakis, Kareem Khaled, Andrew Clare, Sean Kalenic, Carson Koska, Joshua Krog, Jacob Kupetz, Nathan Lacer, Brennan Lawler, John Lee, Joshua Litton, Ethan Loderstead, Kyle Maris, Kevin Marks, Jacob McCullough, Jonathan McCullough, Liam McElwee, Ryan McMacken, Daniel Miller, Michael Manerick, Matthew Mistician, Camden Mitchell, Maximus Morgan, Brady Mueller, Andrew Murray, Colin Myslinski, Jack Nagel, Luai Nawabit, Lucas Newton, Stephen Ng, John O'Brien, Jake Audiger, Diego Palco, Brendan Patterson, Mark Petrasic, Jackson Pettit, Richard Pokrifka, Jackson Powell, Christopher Reitz, Benjamin Roth, Alexander Rudolph, Ryan Schillens, Noah Schultz, Patrick Scullen, Sean Seafeld, Oscar Seaman, Timothy Sheehan, Joseph Skodny, Kevin Sonby, Connor Stanton, Joseph Straub, Michael Sweeney, Andrew Zabo, Shane Tian, John Tinter, Sebastian Venegas, Charles Vogelsang, Seth Warner, Vincent Warren, Derek Weisenseal, Timothy Welch, Louis Whirling, Nicholas Zengis, and Charles Zepp. The awards for high honors. Now I'd like to introduce Dean of Academics Matt Stepnowski for our next Man of the Year introduction.
And Brian and his family. Come on up. It's a true privilege that Brian asked me to introduce him tonight. Like many of you, I love this guy so much, and I think so highly of him, that it's going to be a real challenge to paint a picture of who he is and why he's so deserving of this recognition in 5 minutes or less. When Brian asked me to introduce him tonight, I asked if there were other people in the community he'd like me to reach out to share stories or memories over the past 4 years. And normally you get like an anecdote, like a quick line or two, and I was telling Debbie, Brian's sister, that within probably 2 days I received 7 single-spaced pages of notes in response to my request. So in reality, I feel like a much larger community who love Brian are introducing him tonight, and I'm just the messenger. I was floored and excited when I received so much feedback from so many people, but it really shouldn't have been all that surprising, because as Miss Watts, Brian's college counselor, said, Brian is hands down one of the most loved students on our campus. I think a large part of this is that he embodies an inclusive openness that shows a maturity beyond his age. He wants to grow and recognizes that exposure to other thoughts, ways, beliefs, and cultures is what will help him to grow into a young man that can advocate for others. I was talking to a former student last night, and out of the blue, he asked me what were 2 of the most important lessons I had learned in my life so far. And he said, like, not something you heard, something you've learned through experience. And since Brian asked me to speak tonight, I've pretty much only been thinking about this 5-minute moment. And my response was centered around the importance of empathy and humility, 2 things that I learned personally from Brian. Brian learned these at an incredibly young age. As Debbie was telling me, He's a tangible example of Matthew 7:12, which reads, "Therefore, whatever you desire for men to do to you, you shall also do for them. For this is the law and the prophets." This made me think of my favorite Mr. Kubakiism, "First we model." Brian stopped by my room about a month ago, and he just kept talking to me about how important it is to him to be there for other people. He kept talking about his brothers and the responsibility that he feels every day to set a good example, to listen, to help, to be present. "I just want to make an impact on the world. I just want to be there for my brothers," he kept saying. Brian always wants to set an example by the way he lives his life, and he wants you to know that he cares about you, and he will do whatever he can to make you, your day, a specific moment in time better. I laughed when I saw multiple people bringing up the way Brian dresses, and I was telling him earlier, he's understated tonight. The students know that. It's hard to describe Brian without thinking about his style. In my experience, if you don't know Brian, your first impression might be, what the heck is this dude's story? He's loud, both in the way he dresses with bright, mismatched colors, and in terms of how he speaks. Brian does not suffer fools lightly and will never, ever shy away from letting you know what he thinks. Being in Brian's presence is an experience. I was thinking about how it would land if I tried to dress like him tonight, and I felt that it probably wouldn't have played out correctly because it would have been inauthentic. Like it or not, Brian is always going to be Brian. I think sometimes such an intense level of authenticity can be intimidating, but the importance of being authentic is one of the most important lessons Brian has bestowed upon me. As Debbie said, being so genuine isn't always a good thing. He's not a brown-noser. He doesn't follow trends. He is who he is. I would reply to Debbie, I guess I am replying to Debbie right now, that being so genuine is always a good thing. It's a great thing, and I hope Brian has the courage to always be as authentic as he's been while at St. Ed's. As Ms. Watts said, Brian's actual Superman outfit is bright colored pants, typically tucked into his socks, and a brightly colored button-down that is paired perfectly with the tie for the day. I would personally say mismatched perfectly. Even with the confinements of a uniform, Brian somehow still makes it his own, and he is also able to bring joy to everyone else around him, even if things are not perfect. Brian lives his life for others, especially for the students at St. Ed's. I've never heard anyone talk so much about his classmates. He loves this place, and he loves all of you. I was moved by not only what, but how much his classmates, fellow seniors and underclassmen alike, wrote back to me trying to explain how much he meant to them. One student said, "He constantly reaches out to me and others to make sure we're doing okay and living healthy. For example, during our junior year, he would always catch me sleeping in school because I was up so late. He would then text me every other night to make sure I was getting a proper amount of sleep for the next day. He's the most caring person in the school and truly wants to see everyone at this school succeed in life, which I think is very rare." Another said, his leadership never ceases to shine through in everything he does. He works tirelessly to improve the lives of those around him, and he never lets himself be affected by the circumstances that surround him. He greets each person with honesty, realness, authenticity, and an unrivaled determination to leave a positive impact wherever life may take him. I found myself rather lost after having not made the JV basketball team as a sophomore. The student, not me. I didn't make the JV basketball team either. And it took no longer than 24 hours for Brian and a handful of other teammates to approach me about playing rugby. He immediately offered to watch film with me and show me the ropes. Another student told me a story about a group of guys who were talking about someone in a way that they probably would not have been proud of in hindsight. However, in this instance, Brian rose above and really impacted one of our underclassmen. Again, another First We Model experience. The student said, the fact that he was able to ignore the setting and his status just to defend a person who would probably never know they were defended had a huge impact on me. In my mind, a Man of the Year is able to be a representation for the students and how they should carry themselves. This moment simply showed me that Brian carried himself in such a way and that he didn't care for just the people at St. Ed's, but for people in general. Brian Heideloff cares about others with a depth that seems hard to imagine, especially for someone so young. Mr. Williams, Brian's junior year theology teacher, said, "I've always admired Brian's unique ability to make everyone in a room feel seen, heard, and valued, just by being his full self. In the face of adversity, Brian has remained steadfast in his mission to lead, serve, and love. I'm proud to know him. Notre Dame will be immensely blessed by Brian's presence these next 4 years." In my opinion, Brian came to St. Ed's because he was already an Edsman. St. Ed's provided Brian an opportunity to not only be himself, but to inspire others as well. As his mother shared, B is constantly willing to help others that need food, clothing, a ride, or a place to stay. He once asked if one of his Edsmen could live with us. He gave his own shoes to a homeless man at St. Malachi's Church. I am honored and blessed and humbled that God trusted me to be Brian's mom. Brian's dad said, as parents, and I would personally echo as teachers, we try to teach our children the difference between right and wrong and to prepare them for life. One thing that can't be taught is leadership. Leadership is born, and Brian is a born leader. Thank God I have been granted the privilege of being his father. I would also personally like to thank God for granting me the privilege to be in Brian's life, even for a brief moment. And I would like to say thank you to Brian for choosing to trust in me. You've already made a tremendous impact on the world, and I hope I get a chance to see the sequel as well. Heads up.
Attending a class is simple enough. In fact, it is the main function of a student during the school day. 5 or 6 a day turns into 25 to 30 a week, 40 some weeks in one school year, and you can see how classes add up pretty fast. That's why it's more impressive when you hear of students who have perfect attendance for at least one school year, let alone several. The following students are awarded for perfect attendance over 4 years: Jack Nagel, Louis Werling, Jacob McCullough, and Jonathan McCullough. For perfect attendance over 3 years, we have Patrick Cawley. And for perfect attendance for 2 years, we would like to recognize Blake Buzzio and Brennan Lawler. I would now like to introduce Mr. Michael Perrins to come to the microphone, and he will present our next awards. Thank you.
Academic challenge is an academic co-curricular activity that requires intellect and a huge depth of knowledge, often under pressure. It's actually run by our colleague Ashley Ventura, who unfortunately cannot be here tonight. But she writes that the Academic Challenge Award is given to a student who goes above and beyond in giving student leadership. And the Academic Challenge Award goes to Nick Zangus. Model United Nations is a multidisciplinary academic co-curricular activity that requires and demands key skill sets and outcomes. It allows students to develop, and it puts them under pressure while they do that. However, this award tonight recognizes those students who provide support and leadership so that the others in the program can achieve, enjoy, and win awards whilst they navigate the universe. There are 3 awards, 2 runners-up and a Gavel Award, and it exemplifies true student leadership for those 3 people who have achieved that in spades in a very difficult year for our program. The runners-up awards go to Greco, Aris Dashiell, Immersion, Emerson Gray, and the MUN Gavel Award goes to Furchy, John Furch. And I call on my colleague, Erin Schulf.
Good evening. I am the head coach of the Science Olympiad team and also apparently curator of the nuclear fallout facility. So our team had its highest placement to date in Science Olympiad. We placed 11th in our state tournament. And I want to recognize 2 seniors who pretty much paved the way so our team could do this. Both students have been on the team for 3 years. They are truly brilliant, and they have science, math, and engineering flowing through their blood. They compete in categories such as circuit lab machines and digital structures. One of these seniors placed 2nd in the state in the geologic mapping category this year. And both seniors provided the leadership necessary for the team's success. I'm proud to present the Science Olympiad Leadership Award to Tim Welch and the Program Impact Award to Ethan Loderstedt. I now want to introduce Ms. Carrie White.
I'm going to present one of our Catholic Identity Awards. The Liturgy and Prayer Life Award goes to students from each grade level who go above and beyond each year to promote prayer and faith among our school community. And this year, the seniors receiving this award have gone above and beyond preparing, running, facilitating the streaming of our all-school masses, which was quite an endeavor this year, preparing our call to worship, organizing all of our mass volunteers so that I didn't have to remember to do that, and going above and beyond in helping facilitate music for a variety of prayer services and masses, for a lot of the things that we have to do, a lot of the behind-the-scenes work. So this year that award goes to Cole Corcoran, Jack O'Brien, and Richie Pokrifka. And I'm going to ask Mr. Liam Haggerty to come forward for some service and prayer, service awards.
Good evening. So Community Service Awards are awarded to seniors who have done exemplary work in helping St. Edward High School serve the community. This past year has been a very difficult year for many different reasons for many folks. And the services that we've been able to provide through our Labra homeless outreach, as well as our community meal and our Brother Andre's Place food pantry, while always needed, were probably needed more than ever over these last 12 or 14 months. And the students who are going to receive these awards volunteered with each of those programs almost every week during the school year. And I can honestly say that those programs would not have existed over the past 12 to 14 months if it had not been for their efforts. So this year's Community Service Award winners are Rick Bubb, Liam McAwee, and Roman Sopko. I'd like to introduce J.C. Freilich to present our next awards.
Good evening. The Brother David Martin CSC Robotics Award is presented to a member of the robotics team who demonstrated strong leadership, outstanding generosity, and innovative solutions inside and outside of the robotics lab. This award is given in honor of Brother David Martin CSC, who has taught multiple math and science courses over his 20-plus year tenure and helped found the robotics team in 2001. The student receiving the award represents the selfless and tireless dedication to the St. Edward High School that Brother Dave exemplified. The winner of this award is Ryan Hengelsberg. It's my privilege to introduce Social Studies Department Chair Suzanne Fairfield for the next Man of the Year candidate.
Good evening. And I'm going to try not to cry for those that know me. It is my honor and privilege this evening to introduce Jack O'Brien. And with him this evening are his mother and father, Amy and Tim O'Brien, his sisters, Emily and Abby, and his grandparents, Mary Ann and John Galla. Though I have known Jack and his family for almost 12 years, I only had the privilege of witnessing his character from the sidelines, and literally the sidelines in every CYO event this kid could play, when he was in grade school. It wasn't until he walked into St. Ed's 4 years ago that I would bear witness firsthand to the profound effect he had upon all those that came in encounter with him, and the depth of his character as a Christian man. When I think of the life this young man has led thus far, I call upon the words taken from Ephesians. Live in a manner worthy of the call you have received, with humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another through love. Jack, much like our patron saint, Brother Andre Bissett, is a true servant leader. He does not answer the call to action with the intent of receiving accolades or gratitude, but rather in order to lift up our community and especially his brothers. In fact, rarely will you see Jack as the center of attention, but rather as a quiet force that is moving all that encounter him. He sees himself as an instrument of God's love, a tool in the hands of providence. So if one was to walk through the halls, meander past the fields, listen in the classroom, one might see true love in action when Jack is present. For Jack is the brother who will put others before himself. He is the student who will bring hope to others in need. He is the teammate that will lift his contemporaries to new heights and never once ask, what gilded trophy will I receive as a result of my tireless efforts? Instead, he asks, what can I do more to help? In order to properly capture the true essence of this young man, one must weigh and explore the many influences that have left an indelible mark on Jack's life over the last 4 years. What was interesting is that none of those that I spoke with, including his parents, his siblings, teachers, coaches, and even his classmates, ever once actually mentioned his exceptional accomplishments of this young man, though they are many. Rather, each eloquently described the content of his character instead. His fellow Edsmen spoke of his Holy Cross hospitality, much like Brother Andre, welcoming all those who walked through our doors. They went on to say that through his passion and acts of kindness, one bears witness to living a life with all your heart. Yet this profound effect was not only on his brothers, but his mentors as well. And there were a plethora that answered the call to talk about you as well. As I called upon my colleagues, the list of accolades regarding Jack were immeasurable. In fact, too numerous to measure. They consistently called attention to his commitment, his selflessness, and his servant leadership. Mr. Merriman describes Jack as a good man. And though this description, he says, admittedly may seem to fall short in a list of superlatives, that if he himself were to choose between greatness and being a good man, goodness is what matters most. In talking with Mr. Williams regarding Jack, he draws reference to the lyrics of a song by Camp, which states, "Are you a life force?" As he continues, he states emphatically that Jack O'Brien is indeed a life force in all that he does. Jack brings zeal, gentleness, humility, empathy, and most significantly, his joyous presence, which he graciously shares with others. Mr. Williams closes by stating that Jack has inspired me to be a better teacher, a better follower of Jesus, and a better person with hope to bring. Though Jack was my student and also a member of my team, it is he who taught me the greatest lessons, and those were lessons of the heart. For it was through his actions towards all members of this community that we may witness that love sees no boundaries at all. That if we open not only our minds, but more importantly our hearts, we can transcend the cynicism and the apathy that sometimes is used to describe our contemporary society. Jack reinforces one's faith in the goodness of mankind. For he does not allow the chains of ignorance and indifference to bind him as he charts his authentic journey towards Christianity. Instead, he teaches us that the journey will never end and perfection will never be attained, but it is in the crucible of this life-defining challenge where Jack refuses to surrender and instead chooses love over all other things. He humbly kneels down as Christ did to lift up his brothers and thus exemplifies ultimately the ability to leave others as a humble servant of God. Jack, as I bore witness to your Christ-like servant leadership over the last 4 years, I am filled with faith that your generation will accept the call to serve with a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Tonight, as I look back and I remember the very first day that you walked into my classroom, you were simply a boy. However, over the last 4 years, I watched you become a man of honor, a man of integrity, and a man of action, and most importantly, a man of God. Jack, you are a man of strong character, an unwavering ethos, and have a limitless capacity to love. And these are all qualities of what a true Edsman should attain to be. You have moved my heart through your quiet actions in ways no words can even explain. And so as I conclude my comments, I do so with a joyful yet sad heart. My sadness comes from knowing that you and your amazing smile, pull down that mask, we need to see it. Come on, kid. See? I told you. Okay. My sadness comes from knowing that you and your amazing smile will not be coming through my classroom door next year, but joyful in the knowledge that you will make this world a better place than you found it. And once you leave out these doors one last time, you will continue to selflessly pronounce an effect upon this world. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jack O'Brien. And at this time, I would like to introduce Ms. Molly King, the chair of the art department.
All right, these are young men that have excelled in the studio program here at St. Ed's, the studio arts program, which was difficult to do this year with masks and plastics and everything else that we had to contend with, and they showed up every day, and it was amazing. So Ceramics 2 Student of the Year is Matt Platko. He actually earned 6 college credits. Is Matt here? There he is. His is the first table when it's all for sale too, according to him. His is the first table that when you walk in. Ceramics 1 Student of the Year, Tim Sheehan. The hardest class there is. They say to me, nothing can look so easy and be so hard. And it is hard. Advanced Pottery Student of the Year, Kevin Marks. There's a lot of pictures in all these books. Is Kevin here? Yeah, there he is. Advanced Sculpture Student of the Year, Roman Sopko. Beginning Pottery Student of the Year, Kevin Sonby. This is the first time I've given this out, but he really excelled. Not here? Oh. And Drawing Student of the Year, Mike Butterfield. Please remember to pick up all your artwork on your way out. That's always important. And we are introducing, I just lost it.
Introducing Bob Schnowski for the Business and Entrepreneurship.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I have 2 awards to present tonight. The first one is for the first ever IB Business Student of the Year. We initiated that program this year. While there were several deserving students, this student actually took on a company for his IA, working with one of the alum, and it turned into quite the project, and he came out and scored one of the high scores. He did an excellent job. And the award goes to Cole Corcoran. Didn't expect that, did you? I know. And the second award goes to our Entrepreneurship Student of the Year. He was one of the most insightful students we had in both the intro and the advanced courses. Quite bright young man and always had thoughtful things to say. That award goes to Brady Mueller. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Andy Allen, the chair of the English department, to give those awards out.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to announce the Students of the Year for the English Awards. For English 4, Andrew Brendahan. For IB Literature Year 2, Timothy Welsh. For College Credit Plus, College Composition 1, Ryan Hengelsberg. And for College Credit Plus, Introduction to Fiction, Joe Scotti. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. J.C. Freilich, the chairman of the engineering department.
It is my privilege to give the IB Design Technology HL Year 2 Award to Cole Corcoran. And now I'd like to introduce the Department of the Film Chair, Lydia Manel.
I am excited to get to give 2 film awards to senior students tonight. The first for Sports Documentary Students of the Year. There are 2 seniors who showed great leadership in making a documentary about Coach Augie, which has since been nominated for a Student Production Emmy. That's Brendan McElwee and Evan Reitzman. And then the IBHL Film Student of the Year is a senior whose name you've already heard tonight, with both remarkable ability and work ethic, but also an incredible sense of duty and purpose. We put a lot of stock in the film department in service through film. And there's a good chance if you watched a live stream of a mass, of a sporting event, or of the musical, most recently, this was the man behind the camera. The IBHL Film Award goes to Cole Corcoran. And I'd like to introduce Daniel Cavally for language acquisition.
Thank you, Ms. Munnell. Good evening. It's my privilege to introduce the IBSL Year 2 Student of the Year, Ethan Loderstedt. Honors Spanish 4 Student of the Year, Michael Sweeney. IB Spanish SL Year 2, Johannes Aful. And IB SL Year 2, IB Latin SL Year 2, Timothy Welch. Who will also be receiving a book award from the National Latin Exam Committee for 4 years of gold medals on the National Latin Exam. At this point, I'd like to call up to the podium Mathematics Department Chair, Mr. Brendan Ryan.
The Math Department is proud to award the AP Calculus AB Student of the Year to Christopher Reitz. For the Pre-Calc Student of the Year, Sean Kolenich. For the Trig and Math Topics Student of the Year, Kevin Ham. For the AP Computer Science Principal Student of the Year, Joseph Skodny. For the IB Math SL Student of the Year, Samuel DeBusker. And then for the IB Math HL Year 2 Student of the Year, Nicholas Zangus. And now presenting for the Science Department is Mrs. Erin Schilf.
So I am pleased to announce the Science Students of the Year who are seniors. IB Biology, Evan Colburn. AP Chemistry, Ryan Hengelsberg. IB Year 2, HL Chemistry, Alton Ball. IB SL Year 2 Physics, Kevin Sonby. IB HL Year 2 Physics, Dermot Fox. Anatomy and Physiology, Nathan Laser. Environmental Science, Sean Kolenich. Honors Environmental Science, Alex Rudolph. And Sports Medicine, Blake Buzzio. I would like to introduce the Social Studies Department Chair, Ms. Suzanne Fairfield.
I am pleased to announce the Social Studies Awards this evening. We will start with the AP Economics Student of the Year, Microeconomics, Timothy Welch. The AP Economics Student of the Year for Macroeconomics, Jacob Audiger. The IB 20th Century World HL Students of the Year, Ethan Lauderstadt and Eris Daschel. The AP United States Government Student of the Year, Jacob Ottinger. The American Government Students of the Year, Richard Del Santer and Blake Buzzio. And finally, our Law Student of the Year, Chris Wrights. And at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Chris Meerman, the Chair of the Theology Department.
Mr. Williams and I teach all of the seniors, and so when we pick this award, we always have a large number of students to pick from, and we had to go with 2 this year. Mr. Williams nominated Oscar Seaman as Theology Student of the Year, and I nominated Johannes Hoffel. So, gentlemen. At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Shinowski to the podium to introduce Jake Audiger and his family.
It is my honor tonight to introduce Jake, who is joined by his parents Megan and Mike, as well as his brothers Danny and Ryan. Self-aware, introspective, giving, humble, thoughtful, impactful, leader, intellectually curious, and the student who embodies all that it means to be an Edsman. The last comment coming from a teaching alum. I reached out to several teachers asking to describe Jake, and these are several of the words that were passed on. Any student would be proud to be associated with 1 or 2 of those describers. But this is not even the exhaustive list for Jake. Jake has had quite the journey in his 4 years, from sports to Latin to charitable work and then on to the business program. An early focus for Jake was sports, and specifically football and basketball. He was quite optimistic about the future of sports for him. In fact, I heard from 2 students this week who went to the same grade school as Jake, who thought he was by far the best athlete they had seen. However, with sports, health can always get in the way, and this was the case for Jake. Due to concussions, he stopped playing football after his freshman year, and instead became a leader in the school cheering section for his brothers that were still wearing the uniform. His basketball career ended after his sophomore year. His leadership, though, was already becoming evident as he was elected a captain and still helped lead the team even when sidelined by injuries. A sports story worth mentioning, and I believe his father's favorite, took place actually when Jake was a freshman. Jake was ill, but he still played a good amount in that game. He spent the balance on the bench coughing. There was less than a minute left in the game, and the team was down by 1. Coach Urban actually put Jake back in. Jake hit a bank shot between 2 defenders, and Eds beat Ignatius. Though I'm not sure if you actually called bank. Okay? Jake's perseverance and leadership capabilities were already becoming apparent, whether it be on the field, in the gym, or simply in the student section. The confidence would follow in the classroom, just taking a little bit longer. Mr. Cavali passed on an anecdote that's worth sharing. Jake started out in honors Latin. However, after a couple of weeks, Jake wanted to move to standard Latin, concerned about the class and his potential grade. So Jake made the move to standard Latin for both his freshman and his sophomore year. He realized, though, that academically it wasn't challenging enough. He then approached the Latin staff and ended up learning the additional material needed to take Honors 3, junior year, and becoming one of the best students. This was without taking Honors 1 or Honors 2. With sports now behind him, the question was where to go next. Enter Jim Wallenhorst. Mr. Wallenhorst made a huge impact on Jake and directed him to get involved in as many different things at the school as possible. Jake attended plays and other events, joined clubs, and threw himself into the outreach programs. In fact, Mr. Owen Williams noted Jake's unwavering willingness to give of himself to those outreach programs. There's a saying which had been attributed to several people over time, including Oscar Hammerstein. When God closes a door, he opens a window. Or in Jake's case, several windows. His interests vary widely and included an interest in business. Jake notes that his interest in business came as early as 2nd grade, driven by his parents. He would discuss the supply and demand of video games with his parents, normal dinner conversation for Jake as a second grader. Jake would talk his mother's ear off with her background in banking, and he had an interest in his father's business career and always tried to understand his job. With the door closing on competitive sports, the window of finance and business opened wide. In addition to the conversations with his parents, he would often find himself watching YouTube videos to learn as much as he could. Jake tied his interest in finance with his desire to help others. I would like to mention a passion project of Jake's that unfortunately was impacted by COVID. Jake had the goal of teaching financial literacy to middle school students who didn't have access to that information. After putting together a plan, a meeting with senior staff at Cleveland schools was initiated. After the meeting, CMSD, in fact, approved the program to work in some of the most challenging middle schools in the district. This was no easy feat. CMSD is very protective of allowing any outside groups in during the school day. Jake took entrepreneurship from my predecessor and then joined both investment and entrepreneurship club after I joined the faculty. In fact, Jake had a meaningful part in growing awareness for our classes and the investment club, which has an account of about $35,000 just for the students to invest, and that was accumulated through donations and also performance within the account itself. As well, we started IB Business this year. The goal was to originally have about one medium-sized class. We actually had 67 applicants for the class. And in fact, next year we will expand that to 5 sections. Numerous students told me they originally signed up for the class simply on Jake's recommendation. As Mr. McKenna has said, students now walk the halls talking about investments in business as they used to about sports. Jake also helped with open house discussing the investment club, where several parents actually thought he was one of the faculty. This is a reflection of his confidence and his maturity. Last summer, Jake had an internship with the Riverside Company, which is a private equity firm. They were astonished at his level of financial understanding. As Jake's IB business teacher, this is evident in all of his work. For example, he was only one of 4 students that earned a perfect score on his IA, a year-long paper that's written analyzing a company. When I told the class I was honored that Jake had selected me for this speech, there's another student, Thomas Hoffman, who said, "Hey, Mr. Shinowski, I have this great idea. Why don't you just tell everybody that Jake put a stock into the account and it was up over 300%. Everybody will get excited. No one will be able to believe it." Actually, it's a true story. Jake put the first stock in the account, a company called NVIDIA, and it was actually up over 300%. Jake will be going to Boston College in the fall to study finance. He also won the Presidential Scholarship, which was given to only 18 students out of 12,000. I believe Jake will realize similar success at the next level as he had at St. Edward. I will leave you with this final anecdote. Many of the students in school actually have investment accounts. Jake had been trading options for some time, and he was sitting in another class. I won't say who that teacher was, but he was sitting in that class, and he actually needed to close out a trade. So Jake had his phone out when everybody was supposed to have their phones away. The teacher said, "Jake, put your phone away." Jake said, "I will in just a minute." He completed the trade, shut down the phone, and said, "I just made $1,000. Unfortunately, I was the one that got yelled at by the other teacher. So with all that, please join me in congratulating Jake on being nominated for Man of the Year. And at this time, I would like to introduce Matt Wallenhorst with Student Life and Leadership Awards.
Developing students, not just in the classroom, but throughout all their endeavors is something that we strive to do here at St. Ed's. I often think of it as more of an experience than simply an education. The largest part of that is the building of relationships from student to student, student to adult, and eventually adult to adult as our seniors graduate. Those bonds created cannot be faked or built on fluff. They need to happen genuinely and authentically. Student life happens at any high school, but it is only through student leadership that Edsman can foster an environment that allows the rest to flourish. Sacrificing time, energy, and effort so that their fellow classmates can have social events, come together to support one another on an athletic field, or showing up to applaud them on stage, show that student leaders work for others and for the good of the whole. For the past 4 years, Brian Heideloff has shown outstanding leadership and a commitment to a vibrant student life, and I am pleased to present the Student Life and Leadership Award to him. Congratulations, Brian. I'll now turn the microphone over to Mr. Mackin.
Thank you, Mr. Wallenhorst. The St. Brother Andre Bassett Award is presented each year by the Office of Admission. In particular, of the 4 pillars at St. Ed's, this award really recognizes a student who celebrates the pillar of hospitality. In our corner of the building, where we work oftentimes with our current grade 9 through 12 students, of course, we're most often entertaining prospective students and prospective families. And so hospitality goes a long way to showing these prospective families what is our St. Edward community. The individual who will be the recipient regularly checked in with our office over the course of his 4 years here. He's received a number of recognitions tonight, but as the daily voice of St. Edward High School, I will note that Emerson Gray would check in with us regularly to ask what students are here today, what schools are they from, how can we help make their day special. Additionally, he served as a regular Edsman for a Day host, as an open house tour host, as a pallbearer, as Ms. White indicated earlier tonight, and as a leader for our Night at the Nest event. So our St. Brother Andre Bassett Award is presented to senior Emerson Gray. And I'd like to call up our Director of Performing Arts, Mr. Angelo Cortica.
Good evening. Tonight we'd like to recognize the students who have shown dedication to our performing ensembles. The first award is the John Philip Sousa Award. This is the highest achievement that a student can reach in the band world. Each high school is allowed to give this award to 1 student. This year we'd like to honor Charles Vogelsang. Next award is the National School Orchestra Award. This is the orchestra version of the John Philip Sousa Award, and this is going to Diego Palco. And next up is the School Choral Award, same vibe. This goes to the student who's dedicated themselves to choir all 4 years of high school, and that honor is going to Richie Pokrifka. And then finally, we have another band award. Patrick S. Gilmore was John Philip Sousa's right-hand man, and this is another award that's for students who show dedication to the band program. This is for Dermot Fox. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Owen Williams, who will be introducing Mr. Richie Pokrifka.
Richard Henry Pokrifka, son of Mary and St. Edward alumnus Rich Jr., proud older brother to Joey and Abby, future Xavier Musketeer, wing slinger at B-Dubs Avon Lake, diehard Cleveland sports fan, who's followed by the legendary Sir Yacht on Twitter, by the way, performer, loyal friend to many present here and elsewhere, and most importantly, beloved child of God. Richie has been a gift to the St. Edward community. He is an Edsman who is a hope bringer of the highest caliber. Richie's St. Edward story begins, like it does for many of us, in Mr. Jim Wallenhorst's freshman world history class. One day, Mr. Wallenhorst was hyping the students up about getting involved in the wider St. Ed's community, urging Richie and his classmates to enter fully into the life of their school. One of the lasting memories of that class period for Richie is Mr. Wallenhorst's reminder that St. Ed's is about much more than grades and a stellar transcript. Ultimately, it's about relationships. It's about the moments that will transcend the years that go by. It is about entering in. I pray that my remarks tonight will shed light on some of the ways in which Richie has lived his calling from Mr. Wallenhorst so well. Richie is a man of grit, earnestness, and determination. Close friend, classmate, and fellow Man of the Year nominee Emerson Gray writes, "Richie locks onto a goal, and once he does so, there's no force on this earth that can stop him." From day one, Richie made it clear that he didn't come to St. Edward to simply go through the 8-3 motions. He came to seize every opportunity, every moment, every day. He came to St. Edward to make his life extraordinary, just as his parents and Mr. Wallenhorst encouraged him to do so. Close friend and classmate Dermot Fox writes, "What was most impressive over Richie's singing ability or his athleticism is his drive to be better. He could have very easily settled as a kid who was really talented but doesn't have to perform in the classroom. But he decided to push himself to be as successful as he could in the classroom too." Richie's contributions to an already deep Pokrifka family legacy at St. Edward have been many. His impact on the students, faculty, and staff of St. Edward is strong and clear. Simply by being his determined self, Richie has built up the body of Christ here at St. Edward in many ways. Richie is a servant leader. He is a man of sincere, loving presence. Jesuit priest and founder of Homeboy Industries, Greg Boyle, speaks of kinship as more than serving the other, but being one with the other. With Jesus as his model, Richie loves others as they are. He has this beautiful ability to see into the hearts of those around him. Close friend, classmate, and future Xavier roommate Nathan Lacer writes, "Richie is the kind of friend that will always be there when you need him. He is open to everyone, no matter what." Richie is what the St. Edward Brotherhood is all about. Love, empathy, and genuine concern for the good of others are rooted in Richie's being. Since his freshman year, I've seen this love in action in more ways than I can count. On Kairos, as Richie accompanied his St. Edward brothers as they encountered God, which he'll do again after he graduates, by the way. On stage, as he leads, inspires, and entertains. On the basketball court, as in the words of English teacher and former freshman basketball coach Mark Urban, the one-man bench mob, bringing his unique brand of hype and intensity to every practice and game. or in my classroom before school or after school, as Richie and the lads, as they like to call themselves, model the beauty of relationships fostered at St. Edward. As I contemplated Richie as a servant leader, I kept returning to a message from Father Jacques Dujarier. While there is time, let us do good. Richie Pokrifka has certainly done much good and has brought much hope throughout his life. Richie is a disciple, a friend of Jesus, a man of deep relationship with God. Jesuit theologian Karl Rahner writes, "When one is with God in awe and love, then one is praying." From the moment I first interacted with Richie on a retreat at the end of his freshman year, it was clear to me that Richie's spirituality is rooted in the awe and love that Rahner is speaking of. Richie is an exemplar of the Christian life. He models the kind of accompaniment and empathy that Jesus calls each one of us to in the Gospels. He inspires me to enter more fully into my own faith. One cannot speak of Richie without mentioning his deep passion for all things sports, especially Cleveland sports. Baseball and basketball are two particular favorites. Richie's mother recalls full-on baseball games in his head that he would proudly announce and play, quotes, in the backyard. As basketball became one of his favorites, Richie would turn off the lights in the family room and do his Cavaliers Ahmad-style player introductions, and then proceed to announce all the shots he played. As a teammate, Richie inspires those around him, players and coaches alike. His father recalls a moment when Richie was playing travel basketball. Right before a league finals game in the summer before 4th grade, Richie and his team were playing a team that had beaten them pretty badly before. And right before that game, as his dad writes, Richie gave his coach, a notoriously hard-nosed, no-nonsense guy who rode Richie every second, a short motivational speech that he had scribbled down on a piece of scrap paper. The coach read the note to himself and then called the entire team, including parents, together to read it aloud to them. He could hardly get through it without choking up. Of course, in true Disney movie fashion, they won the game. Richie is an awesome older brother to Joey and Abby. Joey, an 8th grader, getting ready to begin his own St. Edward journey next year, and Abby, a 2nd grader at St. Bernadette, who just made her first Eucharist. As Richie moves to college in the fall, Joey will miss playing catch with him in the backyard, playing 2K and Madden, and Richie's coaching from the stands at his games. Abby will miss Richie's funny jokes, his tucking her into bed at night and waking her up in the morning and practicing basketball. Richie's mother writes, "When Joey was born and Richie was only 4 years old, we told him that he needed to help us raise Joey. Years later, I would regret saying those words as they came right back at me when I told him to stop bossing his little brother around. Richie loves his brother and sister and truly helps to guide them and show them the possibilities of what they can do when they put their minds to it. Richie is so excited for his brother to start his time at St. Ed's next year, and having both the boys on stage for Big Fish was a big treat for both of his parents. As the oldest of 4, I'm inspired daily by Richie's commitment to being fully present to Joey and Abby. In his now famous This Is Water commencement speech to the Kenyon College class of 2005, the late author David Foster Wallace implores the graduates to be people of simple awareness of what is so real and essential, so hidden in plain sight around us all the time. Richie is graduating from St. Edward High School with this awareness. Wallace's advice seems to be rooted in the it that Mr. Wallenhorst was talking about in freshman history class all those years ago. And Richie, you certainly get it. You have done much good. You have brought much hope. You have, in probably more ways than you'll ever know, made countless people know they're loved. I am unbelievably proud of you, and I'm confident Mr. Wallenhorst is too. Always remember, you are God's beloved son. You are made in love, for love, and by love. And ultimately, that's the capital T truth of our existence, and it's all that matters. My wish for you, Richie, is that you continue to smile, to seek, to dream, to bring hope and hype to those that you encounter, to love and to be loved. As your favorite passage from 1 Corinthians says, love never fails. And finally, take the words of Dead Poet Society's Mr. Keating to heart and continue to make your life extraordinary. Peace be with you, friend, and thank you for everything. St. Edward Man of the Year nominee, Richie Pokrifka. Now I'd like to introduce Pat Kennedy for the Golden Eagle Award.
Thank you, Owen. The Jamie McManaman Golden Eagle Award is sponsored by the Athletic Boosters and awarded to one senior each year. The head coach of each varsity sport is invited to nominate one senior based on accomplishments and excellence in the areas of academics, citizenship, leadership, Christian values, athletic participation, and extracurricular activities. Jamie McManaman embodied the spirit of the Golden Eagle Award and was the 2003 recipient. He died tragically on May 13, 2004. This award honors his memory. Nominated by tennis team head coach Todd Ashton, the 2021 Golden Eagle Award winner is senior Sam DeBusker. It's now my pleasure to reintroduce Casey McKenna.
So we have three final recognitions before we get to the culminating award of the night, which is the announcement of the Man of the Year. The first is the National Merit Scholarship. The National Merit Scholarship Program recognizes the top students in their performance on the NMSQT, the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. And we had 6 students in the senior class who were recognized for their performance on that test. Those students are Nicholas DiTeodoro, Tucker Helfer, Ethan Loderstedt, Jake Audiger, Timothy Welch, and Nicholas Zangus.
In a typical year, this would be the time where our outgoing student council president would pass the gavel to our incoming student council president. This year, we thought it would be more appropriate, given all the challenges and all the work that our student government has put in this year through Cross and Anchor Society, that we recognize our 4 senior class officers. So if I could ask Brian Heideloff, CJ Hankins, AJ Johnson, and Richie Pokrifka just stand up and be recognized. Thank you.
And our final academic award for the evening is the Phi Beta Kappa Award. And the Phi Beta Kappa Award is given to the graduating senior who essentially most embodies the academic spirit of the school and the quest for excellence that we expect of all of our students. And it's a name that we've heard often tonight. The Phi Beta Kappa Award winner for the class of 2021 is Tim Welch. And now to present the final award of the evening, please welcome St. Edward President Jim Kubacki.
Good evening. If I could have the 5 nominees, please join me up here. Thanks, Mr. McKenna. First of all, I want to congratulate all award winners tonight for a really job well done. As Mr. McKenna said earlier, the Man of the Year is the highest honor the school can bestow on a student. There is no greater honor than to be nominated by your peers. I want to congratulate our 5 nominees, Emerson Gray, Brian Heideloff, Jack O'Brien, Jake Audiger, and Richie Pokrifka. Each of these nominees is talented and engaged. They represent the qualities of the class of 2021 as a whole. We are blessed at St. Edward to have so many students of excellent character and unlimited potential. As we have heard tonight, our 5 candidates for the 2021 Man of the Year award are the finest examples of men committed to our 4 pillars: faith, excellence, relationships, and servant leadership. I congratulate each of you for your willingness to selflessly share your gifts with the St. Edward community. You have been a gift to us, as you will be a gift to the world. The votes are in. All that is left is a suspense. I always feel like I should do the America's Got Talent thing and just wait for extended time. Without further delay, it is a privilege and a joy for me to present to you the 2021 St. Edward Man of the Year, a man who will be a star on any stage, Richie Pokrifka. I believe the mic is yours.
Wow. I would like to extend great gratitude to all the faculty and staff, coaches, directors, my family, the Schroeder family, who helped to fund a scholarship for me to be here at all, and the student body here. Earlier this year, we heard a homily that I'm sure not a lot of you remember, but I do, because this one really stood out to me because of the persistence to see the good and be the good. I have had the chance to remember that, and it has been a blessing that that has come into my head at this time, because I have realized that the good he was talking about at St. Ed's is all of you students. And I strive every day to be the good. You guys and everyone under us has been such an inspiration to me. I have to say that relationships have been at the core of my experience here. And each and every one of you students has been a servant leader to me. You guys have led by example of your excellence and have strengthened my faith in God and our community through your love. I remember not too long ago that I was performing in my first show here, and it was the last night, and I look out into that audience, and I see a group of guys, our freshman gold basketball team, who Coach Urban dragged along and cheered me on. And I remember thinking, wow, this is what this place is like. Another example of love was my final show here. I remember leaving that stage, my character passing, and I got extremely overwhelmed with emotion. Everyone on that stage was so quick to come and embrace me and to love me. I pulled a quote that is, "Love is given abundantly and without cost." And I think that is a great representation of the St. Edward Brotherhood. I have been able to think about this brotherhood and have thought to myself, what have I done to deserve this love, this brotherhood, this family? I realized in talking with Mr. Williams that it's not really what I've done to deserve it, but how I could respond to it and how I could spread that same love. There is no cost to receive love. So we all talk about this brotherhood, and what is the St. Edward Brotherhood? It is receiving and accepting that love and extending it to others. It is the foundation of our community, to love and to be a family. This brotherhood and this family have formed me into the man I am today, and I thank all of you for that. Thank you.
Congratulations, Richie. Well done. Beautiful. I just want to thank everybody for being part of a wonderful evening, and thank you for 4 years of just being an exceptional class. I think tonight was a representation of just how tremendous this class has been. So let's have one more round of applause for all of our award winners. I also want to thank Miss Lisa Herzl, who spends all year putting this together and organizing everything, and she really does tremendous work behind the scenes to put all these moving pieces and parts together, and as well as Nathan Harden, who he and his team transformed the space today so that we could have this here at St. Ed's and have this meaningful event. So thank you to both of you as well. And as we close this evening, as we normally do with the awards assemblies, we bring up the Man of the Year candidates. Mrs. Herzl was very excited because she said, we think that the alma mater will be in pitch this year. And so Richie, if you would like to come and lead us, and if the other Man of the Year candidates can join you up here, and we'll close with the singing of the alma mater.
Hail to the green and gold, hail our alma mater. Praise her with voices bold, with hearts that never falter. Hail to dear St. Edward High, keep her banners waving, loyal sons in unity, everlasting praise we sing.